What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Words from My Face. This is the special Saturday show. And tonight we have World Cup, and we have the NBA Draft. We also have a little thing called the Chewbacca Chainsaw Award. So, stay tuned. It's coming at you. That was once in a lifetime. That was one of the greatest round ones of all time, of all sports, ever.
I think, though, Beverly Hills Cop, RoboCop crossover needs to happen.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Words from My Face. My name is Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire Brendan.
Yo.
And we are the one and only home of the Chewbacca Chainsaws. Oh, that's an interesting look you came up with there. I hope you enjoyed at home. If you want to see Brendan do a funny look, hit us up at Words from My Face on Twitter, wordsfrommyface@gmail.com, of course, Google+, and comments down below.
Oh, I've got plenty of shots for you.
And if you'd like him to stop doing those crazy... No, I'm just joking. We love those faces. Nobody can stop him from doing those faces. But yeah. So tonight is Saturday, so it's a little bit of a different night than we normally do our sports show, and that's because I was actually at a wedding.
Sometimes you gotta go to weddings.
Sometimes you gotta go. Shows. And when you're the best man, it's very much frowned upon to miss the rehearsal and then the actual wedding to do a show. So I just want to say congratulations to Naki and Lydia. It's been, oh man, they've probably known each other since they were like 13 years old. So, and we're old now. I'm not going to tell you how old, but I'm old now. Really. All right. But I don't know. But congratulations to you two.
I'm just going to assume 30,000. Yeah.
I am 30,000 years old. That's true. I've been walking this earth for a long, long time. But yeah, so congratulations to Naki and Lydia. Yeah, me and Chewbacca, we've been running mates because everybody knows Chewbacca's like 50,000 years old, so that's how he rolls. Yeah. That's just how he rolls. But yeah, so tonight we do have a sports show coming at you, talking about the World Cup. We are into the knockout stage of the World Cup right now, and the U.S. is still there. Cool. Can't complain there.
Big surprise.
Big surprises, right? Not even the coach thought they were going to make it this far. But then we also have the NBA draft that happened on Thursday night, so that's pretty cool. And let's start it off, though. That was his surprise face. Let's start it off, though, with the Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week award. And now, you've seen us. We do different iterations of the Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week. And this week, I'm giving out a Chewbacca Should Chainsaw Award. And that is usually given out to somebody who has had some sort of amazing act of stupidity in the world of sports. And this week, it goes to one Luis Suarez from Uruguay. I believe that's how you pronounce it, or Uruguay. I don't know. If you know how to pronounce it, go ahead and hit me up in comments down below. Make sure
we don't care because you did something stupid. So we're going to... You ruined our pronunciation of your country.
That is what you get for doing this. And the reason he is getting the award is because... over I believe it was Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday, he actually took a bite out of one of the Italian defenders during the game.
This isn't the first time.
And that's what I was about to say. Yes, this isn't even the second time he's done this. This is the third time he's done this. And this has created FIFA to move FIFA to give him a 4-month ban or a 9-game ban, which really sounds pretty easygoing for what's happening. I mean, this is the third time he's been caught biting somebody, and it's not even like he just kind of nibbles them. He puts a good chunk in. Like, if you saw the Italian defender was running around like this, like, oh, look at my shoulder, and you saw big bite marks in there. I mean, this guy took, like, all his teeth, incisors, molars, whatever there is in there, and
he's got big teeth.
He does have big teeth. That mold was pretty distinctive. So I'm just trying to think about what goes through people's heads when they want to bite somebody. Now,
especially just randomly on the shoulder in the middle of a soccer game.
Yeah, it just doesn't make much sense. It's It's like, what are you doing, dude? I mean, it wasn't...
I mean, when Mike Tyson did it during a boxing match, it made a little bit more sense. That's a different kind of aggressive sport. Like, you're being violent. You're fighting someone already. Like, that's the whole point of it.
That's true.
And you're locked in with them. But
when you're playing soccer and you can easily run away from the guy, I mean, it just doesn't quite make too much sense. So, I mean, we saw this earlier this year with Miguel Olivio biting off somebody's ear. You've heard about this with Mike Tyson. I don't know. Maybe there's some... Maybe he's doing bath salts or something. You know, maybe the cannibalism from Miami has traveled all the way to Uruguay.
You know what else, too? Like, if anyone saw the pictures, which I think a lot of people did, one of the main headline pictures is of him on the ground, and he's, like, clutching his teeth. So he bit so hard, it seems like he hurt his teeth.
Or I think a little bit more of it is actually that he's playing it up a little bit, because if you've noticed in soccer,
he hurt his own teeth by biting someone.
I think he was trying to play it off like it was an accident, like the guy was moving around and his shoulder came up into his teeth, and it really isn't his fault. No, it was your fault. We all saw you go. That's what he did.
I still like the idea that he bit so hard he hurt himself. Well, that is not exactly the best place to buy.
So that is true. He probably got a little piece of the collarbone there and rightfully deserved hurt his tooth. It would have been funnier, like, if he had left his teeth in the guy's shoulder. So if anybody's like, "Oh, he didn't bite you," look, the teeth are still there.
I don't know if that'd be funny or horrific.
Well, if you have a sick sense of humor, maybe it's funny. It's kind
like
of actually, I'm squeamish. I wouldn't be down with that. I'd be like, "Oh, that's so horrible. Why would you do that? Why would you do that?" I mean, it's just, what's going on, people? What are you doing, Suarez? You're one of the best players in the world right now. You were the lead goal scorer of Liverpool and also of the whole English Premier League, which, if you ask anybody who knows soccer, that is the league right there. Now, there's good leagues in Germany. There's good leagues in Paris now. There's good leagues in Spain. But those all pale in comparison to the English Premier League. And this guy's running around fighting people. What are you doing, man? Come on. It just doesn't... We haven't had to bite people since, like, caveman time. When we developed weapons, we stopped biting each other. So what are you doing? Are you trying to bring the all of us?
He doesn't have a weapon on the field. Other than, cleats. In a ball.
Okay. Well, cleats, that makes more sense. Kick him with your cleats, at least. Do something. Or kick the ball at his face if you really want to hurt him. All those better options than biting somebody. So I'm racking my brains trying to find some reason that he would do this. And maybe it's because of his pregame warm-up, where I hear that he intentionally does not eat anything before the game so that he can have more hunger. And I always thought that was a hunger to win. And apparently it is a hunger
to eat.
Just for human flesh. Human flesh is his hunger, and that's what he wants to make himself hungry for. And by the way, I just made up his pregame warm-up, so but it makes more sense that way, doesn't it? If I can justify why he bites people, it would. Yeah, I can't justify it. So, Luis Suarez, you are the Chewbacca Should Chainsaw Award winner of the week. And I don't know if it's really an award at that point because you're sawed in half by Chewbacca, so that's not a good thing. Don't worry, Chewbacca will sew you back together. You won't ever be the same, but he'll sew you back together.
And not even Chewbacca bites in a fight. He just uses his chainsaw.
That's true, and he's got some pretty gnarly teeth. So, yeah.
But here he goes.
So Luis Suarez... that's saying goodbye. You're going to be gone from the league for a while. So, but my other problem with this is they give him a 4-month ban or a 9-game ban. He doesn't have to play any more games because they got knocked out. Well, I shouldn't have said that because that's part of the next segment. But, I mean, the league doesn't start up. English Premier League doesn't start up until September or October. So, like, the 4-month ban won't affect him there. I guess it's the 9 games that'll really get to him, but that's not enough.
Ban then for what? A month? The first, month or so of it?
Yeah, it depends on how many games.
It isn't a whole lot.
Yeah, exactly. That's not enough for biting somebody for the 3rd time. I mean, Mike Tyson got kicked out of boxing for 5 years for doing that, Miguel Olivio got cut from his team. He's not in baseball anymore. But somehow Suarez is going... I guess it's and now I'm going to say Michael Jordan biting somebody on the court, but he's nowhere close to as big as Michael Jordan was. But he is he was considered.
Mike Tyson was close to
that is true.
The level of Michael Jordan in boxing. So
yeah,
and he still got banned
because he deserved it. But I mean, I just think it should be like a whole year ban. I mean, baseball players get banned for longer for doing steroids. I mean, I guess they're both illegal. I don't think it's legal to bite people. Maybe in Brazil it is. I don't know. If you know the laws of Brazil and what's legal about biting people, let us know. Comments down below. But yeah, I don't think it's legal now.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know. I would guess maybe this comes up more often than we think in the football, soccer world.
Football.
Yeah, maybe because it's a worldwide FIFA, especially is an international organization. Maybe they see it more often than we think. So maybe it's not as surprising to them.
Mm-mm. I'm not going to go for that. Mm-mm. It's not as surprising that Luis Suarez bit somebody because he's done it twice before, but I'm not going to go for that. No, I don't care. If you're in a sporting league where you just see people, it's like an epidemic, people biting people, and you're like, well, it'll pass. It's a phase. No.
This is a league that we've seen in previous World Cups. There's been riots from the fans, granted, but there have been riots due to whatever the turnout is. There's been people that are crazy enough they'll burn themselves alive in order to help their team win. So it is a pretty crazy.
If you're
fandom, anyway.
Maybe if you're from Uruguay and you're like, oh, let me self-immolate myself, which means burn yourself. Sorry, I shouldn't have used the big word. But maybe if you're like, well, maybe Suarez won't be as hungry if he knows there's going to be a good human meal afterwards. I don't know. I'm going off the rail. I'll cook myself for you, Suarez, so you don't have to bite anybody on the field. Yeah.
So you don't have to. All right.
Yes.
Like in season 2. Right?
Rub some salt on himself, some butter. Yeah. I'm tasty. Don't worry about the Italian defenders. Come bite me. I'll even pour some marinara sauce on my shoulder.
We should put some Italian seasoning, that rosemary, some thyme, and oregano.
There you go. Suarez. So all you Uruguay fans, that's how you keep him from biting people. Season yourselves well. So, we've kind of just gone off the tracks here, but yeah, so stupid Suarez. That's all I got to say about that. But let's stay on the World Cup subject, and let's talk about what's going on now. Now, we are out of group play stage, and we are now into the round of 16, because 32 teams enter for group play, and then the top 2 teams from each group go on, and you have 16 teams left. And it has started today. But I'm going to give you predictions on what's going to happen on the games today. And don't worry, I haven't seen them yet. Brazil wins, and I bet you Brazil will win in penalty shootout. Okay, I already saw that. So
I challenge you.
You challenge me, but
it did not happen.
And Uruguay got killed because they lost their best player because he bites people. So in the round of 16, we have Brazil and Chile. Okay, Brazil won. They're on to the next one. You have Colombia, Uruguay. Okay, Colombia won. They're on. You have France, Nigeria, which is a really good game. Should be happening on Monday. That should be pretty interesting because Nigeria is a strong team. They're very fast. And you know what? They're playing with a lot of heart right now because of all the crazy stuff going on in their country. But they are coming up against France, which is one of the more traditional powers in soccer. I mean, really, if you look at the whole organization, the big teams are usually like the Brazils, the Argentinas, England, France, Italy. Those are teams that you'll always see in the top. Netherlands is pretty good as well. So I predict France will come out of that, even though I'm rooting for Nigeria. Then you have Germany is playing Algeria. Algeria, this is the first time I believe that they've ever made it past the group play stage. So congratulations to you guys. You are going to run into a buzzsaw in Germany because Germany is just their beast.
Well, they're the top. They're, I guess, the favorite at this point.
Spain was ranked number 1. Yeah, Spain was ranked number 1 coming into FIFA, into the World Cup, but they didn't even win a game, or they did win a game, but they didn't make it out of group play, so they're done.
France and Germany didn't do quite as well as we would expect in group play, but maybe they were playing conservatively. I don't know.
I think it was because they were in the group of death. I mean, this year's group of death was Germany, Portugal, Ghana, and the United States. So I think that held them back a little bit. So, I mean, because it was the toughest group. But I almost feel like if you're in the group of death and you make it out, you've already played some of the toughest competition you're going to play. I mean, it's a pretty good shot in advancing past that. So Germany has sharpened their teeth against these other teams, and now they're ready to Luis Suarez their way through.
I was going to wait to see if there was going to be something about there, because you can't just say sharpen their teeth. But we were just talking about a guy, but okay.
You know. I had to throw it in there. Oh, I'm sorry. Next time we'll plan out our jokes a little better. But so that's happening. And then Netherlands is playing Mexico. Netherlands just cruised through their group, absolutely demolishing every single team. I mean, they beat Spain, I believe, 5-1 or something like that, and they pretty much cruised. And they're playing Mexico, which is a pretty good team. Then you have Costa Rica got out against Greece, which was a pretty big surprise. I believe Greece won their last game and made it through, which was kind of crazy. I didn't expect Greece to do it at all, especially considering, I don't think they have much of a budget for a soccer team anymore. All of those.
You'd be surprised. Some of these countries will just find money for soccer.
Well, like Brazil did. Brazil said, we're not going to feed our people.
Yeah, well, okay, well, that was a little different situation, I guess, because the Greek team, they're generating their own money. And they have
I guess that's true.
Other stuff, sponsorships and whatnot. So it's probably not that big a deal. As opposed to Brazil, where they have to build a stadium on the public money.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
That is true. Yeah, just flying your guys over there to play is a lot different than having to build hundreds of millions of dollars worth of infrastructure when, roads, clean water, decent living for people. I mean, when that's not happening in your country and you decide to build these soccer stadiums, yeah, I can understand when people get a little angry. But then the next one, you have Argentina versus Switzerland. I'd say Argentina should, I'm not necessarily blow past Switzerland, but definitely beat them. They're definitely the better team. And then you have Belgium versus the United States of America. Yes, that was a joke.
Dun, dun, dun. Which is the big surprise, because no one expected us to get there.
Yeah, I didn't expect us to get there. Hell, Jurgen Klinsmann, the United States head coach, did not expect us to get there either. So, and Belgium is actually, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong, they're a good team. They have a really, really good midfielder in Eden Hazard, I believe his name is. He's a beast, and he plays for Chelsea, which is the best English Premier League team, if you ask me. I don't really have teams, but Chelsea's my team. So they're really good, but I do think that the United States is strong enough, and I think they showed it playing against Portugal, tying them, beating Ghana, and only losing by 1 in a really good game against Germany. I think they've showed enough.
Really good game. I saw that game. It was not really that good, to be honest.
In soccer terms.
No. I'm saying, people were... The U.S. was not playing strong. Germany was just also not playing strong. It was... The number of errors was ridiculous. I actually got to watch at least the last half hour of it during work, because my company just put it up on a screen, so we just worked while watching, and it was sometimes things would go well, sometimes it was what's going on here. I mean, the U.S. maybe took 2 shots at the goal the whole game, and when they did, those were there's maybe one good one, kind of. And it was just weak. They get up there and they don't know what they're doing. Everyone's tripping each other up. In fact, now I'm not going to blame them so badly for this, but I don't know if you saw one of the worst injury points in the game was 2 U.S. players hitting each other.
One of them, I think, broke his nose in that exchange there. So we have 2 broken noses on the U.S. team so far this World Cup. I wonder if there's a record for how many broken noses a team has had because Clint Dempsey broke his nose. I can't remember who broke his nose against Germany, but yeah, I did hear that he broke his nose. But I think part of that wasn't it there just a crazy torrential downpour during most of the game? I didn't get to watch the game.
I didn't see. Well, when I was watching, I didn't see any rain, but so I didn't.
Yeah, I think part of it was that it was pretty rainy and that really ruined the field conditions. So, I mean, that probably had something to do with it. But, I mean, we only lost 1-0 against, my opinion, in the best team in the world. So,
yeah, and I was somewhat surprised at how, I guess they did put a lot of effort going out there and risked a lot when both those teams could have just said, all right, you know what? We can just stand here for 90 minutes and we both go on.
Yeah.
But that's not how they play.
Yeah. But, I mean, the one good thing about what the U.S. did was it seems like they kind of brought a little more confidence to their play. You didn't see Jurgen Klinsmann coming into it. We talked about it, how he was saying, oh, we're not going to do anything. And now he's all ecstatic. Well, hey, our team is playing hard. We know what it takes to win. And they could really make a run for it. I don't see them going past the quarters, but I do think they could beat Belgium. If they do beat Belgium, they'll probably run into Argentina next, which with Lionel Messi is not going to be a really fun one to do.
You know, too, looking back at that, I've talked to some people that had an interesting perspective on that speech from the coach, that maybe that was a really good move actually for him to say that, because what he ended up doing was taking all the pressure off those players, as opposed to the situation in England where there was a whole lot of pressure on the players, where they had high expectations that
we invented soccer, we must win.
Yeah, and so there's all that pressure, and then it affected their play, as opposed to the U.S. team. No pressure at all. No one's expecting anything. They just can go out there, prove themselves if they want, and they did, obviously, and relax about it. Play professionally with peace of mind, without external unnecessary stresses. Maybe that really was the case. Maybe that was his strategy. It's worked so far. I mean, granted, he only said that we wouldn't win the cup unless we played the best game every game.
Every game, yeah.
There's still quite a distance before the cup, and it's probably still not likely that the U.S. is going to win the cup.
It's damn near impossible that we win the cup, but stranger things have happened.
Know. Yeah,
stranger things have happened. So, and it's funny too, because after the game on Thursday, you saw like people were kind of dejected in America, and they're like, "We lost. Wait, we're going through." How do we lose and go through? Because we're not used to that in American sports.
Well, you lose, you
go home.
The whole way, anyone that's watching the game anyway, they kept saying it throughout the game. The real big thing was not even our game. It was what was going on in Ghana, Portugal, because there were certain outcomes from that could shift things if we lost, or if we lost by a certain number of points, or they won.
Yeah, what it is it's the goal differential, which would have been the factor.
Because we were going to be tied up.
Now, Portugal was the best team for us to have win, because their goal differential, they lost by 4 goals in the first game, whereas Ghana lost by 1 goal, and then they tied their second game. So if Ghana had actually tied, I think they would have gone – I mean, had Ghana actually won, they would have gone past us, because depending on how many goals they scored, but they would have been equal goal differential. And it's some weird thing, like they count previous World Cups.
If they won and we lost, had we tied, we were going to go through.
Not necessarily. If Ghana had won and their goal differential was better than ours, let's say they outscored Portugal by 3 goals, and we lost by 1, our goal differential would have been 0, and theirs would have been +2, so they would have gone through. And I think there's also some weird tie-breaking scheme in the World Cup where you revert back to previous World Cups to decide who goes through if you have 2 teams like tied with both points and goal differential. I'm not exactly sure about that one.
What I've heard is that last case scenario, if everything's matched up, they literally just draw names from a hat, say.
Well, hey, if you know what the real way they do the tiebreaker in the FIFA World Cup is, let us know. Comments down below. WordsForMyFace.com, at WordsForMyFace on Twitter, and of course, WordsForMyFace@gmail.com.
Yeah. It's funny though, like you were saying, like I was watching the game too, like I said, with my coworkers, and at the end we're like, well, we move on. We lose, but we move on. Like it was kind of those. It was an extremely like mellow success.
Yeah.
Because
again, we don't believe in ties here in America. We don't believe in losing and still moving on. It's very against what we. It's kind of like, in T-ball when you're a kid, everybody gets a trophy. And whenever I remember being like 6 years old playing T-ball and always asking what the score was, knowing my team was probably up at like 10, and them saying it's 0-0. It's like, what the hell? I know it's not 0-0 right now. You are lying to me. But it was always 0-0 after every game. I was like, man, I scored like 5 runs myself, and I didn't score any runs. Because just so you all know, I was the number 1 T-ball player in the world at 6 years old. Yep.
All right. Yep. Now, go back to something serious. It's funny, though. We've mentioned this before about the difference between the two footballs, but football does have the same scheme. It just doesn't come down up as much. The same scheme of possibility of ties outside of outside of like playoffs, right?
But they still go to overtime.
They do. They do initially go to overtime, but they can have ties.
And they try to make it
ability to go to overtime makes it rarer that we actually keep ties. But not only that, I was thinking too, in addition to that, the whole group play scheme of the point system, we don't quite have the same kind of point system. It's more just 1 point or half points if you tie, which is rare. But in our division, for instance, we have a series of things that go through to break those ties for the division leader, right? Whoever has the most wins is the clear one. If it has to go beyond that, it's the number of division games. And if it has
head-to-head schedule. Head-to-head schedule.
Yeah. And if it has to go the last thing, or I think the last thing, maybe it goes even further, but the last thing I'm aware of is the points. The number of the point difference, point spread.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the NFL, if you're, let's just say
it
two
rarely
teams
comes up, but
are tied 10-6 at the end of the year. Both teams are 10-6, and they split the head-to-head matchup. Yeah, then they go on to things like you go to conference common opponents, what your records were against common opponents, and then it breaks down into point differential and stuff like that. Yeah, but they have everything possible to make sure there's never going to be a tie. So,
yeah, and both do. There's a lot of similarities there, though. Like we just said, there's that final point differential. There's the I don't know, all the stuff in group play. There's ties, all this stuff, but it's so much. It is so much rarer in American football in the NFL to see it come down that far.
Well, just American sports in general, they try their best not to have to ever tie. I mean, basketball, they'll keep going until someone wins. Hockey, they have the shootout at the end. So they just, we don't believe in ties here in America.
Yeah, but I'm saying even with records though, where you're not talking about necessarily ties in a game, you can still have there's not much preventing a tie record. So. Yeah,
exactly. But then you have all these different breakdowns to separate that. And it just, I guess, to do in soccer, too. I don't know.
Let us know in comments down below. Soccer. It goes to the...
We did just talk about it. But I don't know about, like, their regular season stuff. Like, what if one team finishes with 85, two teams finish with 85 points, how do they break it down? Probably about the same way. But, yeah. But, again, I'm enjoying this World Cup. I really am. And mostly because America's going forward. But is it going to be just kind of, only thing I care about it once every 4 years? So we'll just see. And, hey, you know what? I bet you the best thing for soccer in the United States would be as if America makes it to, like, the quarters or the semifinals. That would be huge. I mean, I'm not even saying make it to the cup. I'm just saying make it to one of the other rounds in. And
keep soccer on people's minds for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Than usual.
But we'll see how that goes. But the World Cup has been exciting, so if you haven't checked it out, check it out. Again, my picks for the next round are Brazil over Chile, Colombia over Uruguay, France over Nigeria, Germany over Algeria, Netherlands over Mexico, Costa Rica over Greece, Argentina over Switzerland, and the United States of America over Belgium. Yeah. And just so you know, if you want to pick out one game, you only want to watch, let's say, 2 games. If you only want to watch 2 games of this next round, watch the Netherlands-Mexico game. That is going to be a spectacular one. Mexico is really turning it on. Chicharito, I believe his name is. He's a spectacular player. Also, Ochoa, their goalie, is a beast. But the Netherlands have Van Persie and Aaron Robben, and they're stacked. So that'll be really fun to watch. You're looking at one of the better defenses against one of the better offenses. So that's the game you want to watch. And I said 2 games. Of course we want to watch the America game. If you're not watching the America game, you are un-American. Un-American. Okay, maybe you're not un-American, but...
I mean, this is soccer we're talking about.
That is true. You should watch it. You just support your team. Come on, support your country.
This is non-American football.
So is it almost un-American to watch it? If you're watching,
know.
you're breaking down our game of American football by supporting the international football. I don't know that came from, but yeah, it's been fun. So just enjoy it while the ride lasts. But let's move it on and talk about the last subject of the night. Again, this is probably a pretty short show for us because we normally go about 20 minutes over our half-hour slated time.
And right now, we're just getting to our half-hour time. So
hey, that's how so. But our next topic is the NBA draft happened on Thursday. And if you don't know what the NBA draft is, like, what's wrong with you? I'm not even going to explain what the NBA draft is. I think that's insulting for me to explain.
I'll explain to you. See, the NBA draft is when the NBA drafts a bunch of players, which means it's like in the playground when you say, "Hey, I'm going to pick you," and then the other team's like, "I'm going to pick that guy now." It just goes through people like that.
Yeah, just like that. But I'm going to run down pretty much the top 10 picks, maybe go over a couple other picks that might be interesting. But let's start it off with number one. And number one pick in the NBA draft, Cleveland Cavaliers had it. Say that 10 times fast. Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay, Cleveland Cavaliers had had the number one pick in this year's draft. And it's weird because they've had, like, the number one pick, like, 3 out of the past 5 years. So, like, they're rigging something. It's supposed to be a draft lottery. You're not supposed to just definitely get it. I don't know what's going on there.
They're Cleveland.
They are Cleveland. They're
what
just
else do they got going for them?
We're sorry for you. We're going to give you the number one pick. You're in Cleveland.
We hate on Cleveland a lot, but we don't need to. I'm sorry, guys. It's
sorry.
We don't have anything against you personally. It's just you've been watching your sports. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're from, like, the second saddest town for sports, and that's D.C., but yeah, we're better than you. Ha! So they got Andrew Wiggins. Now, Andrew Wiggins, coming out of high school, everybody was like, this is the number one pick. If he could have come straight out of high school, he would have been the number one pick then. He went to Kansas. I actually think he did not play up to his expectations. He showed a lot of his physical promise, but he didn't show a lot of the mental toughness that you would like to see, especially at the college level from these players. I really think it would have benefited him to stay in another year in that good Kansas system. But he came out, and so he should be playing again next to Kyrie Irving, and you might see some pretty good stuff out of those two. It'll be an exciting backcourt, and I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to entice another player to come, like a bigger superstar, more of a veteran. I know they were courting LeBron James. LeBron James is never coming back, Cleveland. Sorry. Dan Gilbert blew that up when he started encouraging people to burn his jerseys.
Hey, he opted out of his contract. It's possible.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. He's staying in Miami, or he's going to, like, New York or LA or maybe Chicago. You never know. But yeah, so they got him as the number one pick. Now, he does have a huge upside if he can refine a lot of those talents. But again, I don't know if the mental maturity is there. We'll see. It always takes time. And he's only 19 years old. So, I mean, you should have seen me at 19 years old. Not mature at all. You should see me at 29 years old. Not mature at all. So, there's some time there. But so let's move on to the next pick. The Milwaukee Bucks had the second pick in the NBA. I almost said the NFL draft, the NBA draft, and they picked the small forward Jabari Parker out of Duke. Now, this guy probably came out as the most refined player. He'll probably make the biggest impact right away. Came out of that excellent Duke system. Krzyzewski throws out players. I mean, he just brings them in, and they just go out and they're pros. So he's polished. He's ready to play. He's going to be a really talented player, but he's not quite athletically gifted as some of the other players in the draft. But again, he is more polished. So he's a guy you can plug in right into your lineup right away. So he'll be good for Milwaukee. And then with the third pick, now this one really, it was just a head scratcher. It was like, huh? Really? They did that? Again? And that is the 76ers drafted Joel Embiid. Now, Embiid was projected as the number one pick until about a couple weeks ago when he had a fracture in his foot, I believe, and had to have surgery to get it repaired. And I say that this is so weird, not because it happens, players get injured, but you usually don't draft a player with a high pick 2 years in a row. Last year, I believe they had the fourth pick, and they drafted a guy, Noel Nerlens. Damn it, how can I not remember his? Noel Nerlens, something like that. It's a weird name. And you know why I don't know his name? Because he didn't play at all last year. He was hurt coming out of Kentucky, and yeah, he has got all the talent in the world, but he didn't play. What does talent matter to you if they sit on the bench hurt? And they went ahead and drafted pretty much the same position, another center, with the same problem. He's hurt, and he's looking to probably miss at least 6 months of this year, if not the whole year. And it's like, why would you do that again? I mean,
someone there has a master plan. We're going to get all of the injured players. They'll be so thankful to us that they came to us, and we'll wait. We'll wait it out a couple years. Then no one's going to know what hit him. Like, oh, what is that guy injured?
Yeah.
Oh man, now he's so awesome.
And people,
not only that, they're putting in prosthetics into
prosthetics.
They're boost. They want these injured players.
He has robo feet. Go
exactly.
Robot
they
feet.
Want those injured players because they already have to get surgery, and no one's going to question when they're out for a little extra time, and then they come back and suddenly they can jump 12 feet in the air.
Hey, that might not be that bad. I would take all the players on the Wizards
feet, I mean from the ground to their foot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. But I mean, people will point to a player like Blake Griffin who had the same thing. He had a bad kneecap when he came out, missed the whole first year, and then he's been spectacular since then. But that is a rare occasion. You see more of the Greg Odens who had hurt. He was hurt when he first came out, I believe, and he really hasn't had a career since. So I just don't understand it when you draft a hurt player that high. It's too risky, and if it doesn't pan out, you're screwed. Simple as that. But let's move it on to the next pick, number 4, Aaron Gordon, coming out of the power forward, coming out of Arizona. He got drafted by the Orlando Magic, and I like this pick as well. Aaron Gordon is a very physical player. They have a really good shooting guard in Victor Oladipo. Shout out to Matha. That's you.
Yeah, that's my school.
Yeah, I was like, not me. I didn't go there. You need to shout out to Matha there.
I did go there.
So he'll fit in well there in Orlando, and they are actually building a pretty good young squad. They're still a couple years away, but they're building down there, and I kind of like what they're doing.
If anyone doesn't know why that's also so important, not just because I went there, but they're very well known for decades now for the basketball team and just sports in general. Like when I was there, we were ranked second best high school sports in the country, right? But our basketball team has been like prime since the 50s or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they've been one of the best. And also, little known fact about DeMatha is they have a great choir and band.
Yes.
Actually,
that's one of the things that people don't realize. Like, some people know us as, because our sports are so good, Jack School, but we had kind of a 3-way split people would talk about. Because a third of the school did sports, a third of the school did music in general, and a third of the school was like all AP and honors students. So, yeah.
There you go. So, it's cool.
Hey, promoting your own school. Now, if you want to send your child.
And DeMatha, if you'd like to send us a check for the great endorsement, you probably won't anyway, so I'm just not going to go with that.
Just do it. Come on.
Just do it. All right, so the number 5 pick in this NBA draft this year, Dante Exum. And now this is a player that a lot of people hadn't heard of, but he had gotten a lot of buzz coming into it, and it's because he's from Australia. He threw another shrimp on the barbie. And a dingo ate your baby. Okay. But he got drafted by the Utah Jazz. He actually, what I've seen of him on YouTube is he's going to be pretty good. So I'm not going to really go in depth on him because I don't really know much about him. So let's move it on to number 6, and that would be Marcus Smart out of Oklahoma State, getting drafted by the Boston Celtics. And now I found this very interesting because he is a point guard, and they already had a spectacular all-star point guard in Rajon Rondo, so look for Rondo to be on the move. I think I've already heard rumors of them shopping him in some sort of trade or anything. I'm pretty sure they would just take anything. Like, have you ever seen the movie, what is that called? The Will Ferrell basketball movie. All right, I can't talk about the movie if I don't remember the name.
Will Ferrell basketball movie?
It was a really funny one, too. It was
one of a bunch of other sport movies. I don't recall basketball. It must not have been that good.
No, it was good. It was a lot less known.
You don't remember it. It didn't leave that good of an impression.
I remember it.
You don't remember the name.
I remember it. All I know is in this movie, Will Ferrell trades a washing machine for a basketball player, because he owns the Flint Tropics. I can't even tell you the name of the fictional team. Damn it! What the hell?
You're
is
making this all up.
I'm not. It's a
You're
real
writing
movie.
a screenplay for this movie.
Will Ferrell, if you'd like to join this movie, but yeah. So, I mean, that's almost what they're gonna do. They're gonna trade Rajon Rondo for like a washing machine and a dishwasher. So, and it's sad because he's a pretty good player. But let's move it on to number 7. And this is probably the best pick, I think the most solid of all the picks in the draft. And that was the Los Angeles Lakers drafting Julius Randle. He is a spectacular player. He has number 1 talent. And I don't really know why he dropped so far off down the board. He comes out of Kentucky, another one of those great pro-making schools. So I don't know why he fell all the way that far down, and he's a good power forward. He's going to fit in great in L.A., especially if Kobe can make it back next year and if they get some sort of point guard to go. And I feel he's polished, but he still has a lot of potential left to realize. So I think that's probably the best pick of the draft right there. And then we're just going to go through the next 3 pretty fast because they're all literally known players. And you have Nick Strauskis from Canada/Lithuania. I don't know how you're from both those places. He plays a shooting guard, and he will be with the Sacramento Kings. And then you have Noah Vonleh. He's from the United States. He's actually played at Indiana. And he's got drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. And then you have Elfrid Payton, point guard, drafted by the New Orleans. He was drafted by the 76ers. But then I believe he was traded to Orlando, so that's an interesting one. And yeah, so I don't really. One of the bigger ones is a guy who went right after that, Doug McDermott, and he was a really good player. He's one of the highest scoring college players of all time out of Creighton. So you never know. I mean, like you had Jimmer Fredette come out a couple of years ago from BYU, and it seemed like that kid could do nothing but drop 50-point games, and then hasn't done anything in the NBA. So.
It's a very different level of play. So
it certainly is. Yeah. But, that's the NBA draft. Sorry I didn't go through all the other picks.
One thing there. Like we were talking about, these players coming out of high school, and the one player that's could have come right out of high school, would have been a top pick. Didn't show as well in college. But it seemed to me like that's an area that you would want to see more maturing. I don't really understand how the professional teams think that they can really judge these high school players. They're not playing nearly at the same level. I know in the NFL, nothing comes out of high school. You have to spend some time in college to get drafted. I know baseball is not like that. Anyone can get drafted at any time. But I just, this happens in the NBA. I hear about it all the time. Players coming out of high school.
Well, let me just stop you right there because you haven't heard about it for the past 6-7 years because they make.
I haven't been paying attention for the past 6-7 years.
Okay,
Last time, before my coma.
Okay, yeah, before your coma, they used to let them.
It happened.
Oh. Yeah, so the rule is out in the NBA now is that you do have to wait a year. I mean, some players, I've seen players like Brandon Jennings go over to Europe and play for a year there, make some money, and then come back here. But you do have to wait a year. You have to be at least 19, I believe, to be eligible, or 1 year removed from high school to be eligible in the draft. But there is a reason, because basketball is less physical, I'd say. There's not as much pounding. You don't have to have as much muscle development. But some of the fastest people in the world are in their early 20s. I mean, when you look at like swimmers and stuff, they're always in their like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 range. And so it's easier to develop those players. And
I would still say, though, when you're talking about a competitive team sport with strategy involved, with various levels of skill involved, where there's a defender, like swimming, running, all those things, more or less individual, and unless you're doing relays, but still, it's straightforward, as opposed to basketball, football, baseball, all these other bigger teams sports, and I guess even more so basketball, football, soccer, for instance. I would say you would want to see them mature and play at a higher level to see how they can compete at a higher level against a better pool of players to compete against and to play with, and just better strategies, and one to get better, but also two to see how they compete against us. Because in high school, yeah, you might have some stiff competition. You're not going to have the same competition as you are going to in college, and in college you're not going to have the same competition you are in the NBA.
And that's very true. It's just, since it's less physical, more finesse type sport, like soccer, you actually see a lot of young kids playing soccer. You have these U17, U20, U23 teams under those ages. That's what the youth stands for, at least.
Yeah, but the big players in soccer even are, like, at the international scale. Like, we picked up some kid, right, that was 18, 19, 20, whatever, that because we're not as great of a team or as prestigious, but we want to pick him up before somewhere like Germany got him, who would wait till he was 25 at least. A lot of the bigger teams wait till they're a lot more mature to pick him up for the high level leagues anyway.
Yeah,
for like the World Cup.
And the same is almost with the NBA. But like, you look at players like LeBron James, that guy. Also when we're all physically developing, usually that ends somewhere around 18. Now you can get more muscle mass, but your height and your athletic ability usually...
I think for men it's actually more or less 21.
All right, fine. I stopped growing when I was 16, all right? But I'm 6'3", so it's all right. I'm big enough. I don't need to go any higher than that. But I think it's just because it's not as physical as a sport. You don't need as much muscle. You don't need to build that much. And as it being a five-man team, there's a little bit more range for free play. Like, you don't have to be as strict in a system. In football, if this player is a little young, can't remember, is a little too immature, wants to kind of do his own thing, let's say he plays wide receiver. Oh, I don't want to run that route. I'm going to run. Then it ruins everything that's going on in the field. But in basketball, if a player's like, I kind of want to hog the ball a little bit because I think I'm better than everybody, it hurts, but then the coach can just rip him right out and say, you're not playing anymore, and go on from there. It's just the development. I think they like. The NBA didn't mind taking high school players because they wanted to develop these players in their own systems. But I think it's way better that they wait a year. I would almost be cool with them doing a 2-year wait, because it would make, number one, college basketball more fun to watch, and you just have more polished professionals coming out. I still don't think it would hurt.
Yeah, I think that on the one hand, okay, I can see maybe someone doesn't need to, and maybe it's costing him unnecessary money to go to college, although anyone that's good enough for the NBA is going to get a full scholarship to any school, as far as I'm aware. Like, I can't imagine them not getting a full scholarship. Yeah,
and there's plenty of D1 teams out there that'll pick somebody up. If you show some talent, you're going to go. But yeah, so it's just a different animal, those sports, so that's why. But you know what? I think that's going to we did go 50 minutes, even though I didn't think we were going to. I really didn't write much of a show. We just kind of said, okay, this is the topics. Like I said, I've been at weddings and doing wedding stuff for the past week. But hey, we will not fail on our 50-minute show that's supposed to be a half hour.
Yeah. Bonus time for you.
Bonus for you. Yeah, that's right. We do this for you, the listeners, or the watchers. I don't know. Do we call them listeners or watchers? Listen and watchers?
Are you guys listening, or are you watching? Do you just put this on in the background, or are you just staring at our faces the whole time?
Maybe they're just staring at our faces. But that's going to close it down for us tonight. So, as always, I am Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire Brendan.
You.
And we are signing off. Actually, we're headbanging off. That's what we do now. That's our thing.
Is it? Is it really?
That is our thing. That is our thing. I like doing that.
All right, here we go.
Because we have an awesome song from Saturday Night Special. And again, congratulations.
Tuesday Night Special was their day. This is the Saturday Night Special.
That's right. We're doing the Saturday Night Special. Tuesday Night Special was the guys who wrote the song, and we're banging it out. Let's do it.
And we are out. Peace out, folks. After I found this.